Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Eric Silva to defeat Don Hyung Kim. This kid's the future. He's going to be in his 20s forever. He's got a very high ceiling, and he's going to be too much for Stun Gun. All right. I'm here to break down UFC 326 Holloway versus Oliveira 2. Or like 1.5, if we're being honest. But that's not what we do here at MMA Al Dente. We're not very honest. All right, opening up the card, we have Rodolfo Bellato taking on UFC newcomer Luke Fernandez. My prediction for this fight is Rodolfo Bellato wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by disqualification due to his acting chops. I'll go with him winning by round 2 TKO, but he does have some strong acting chops. I mean, you saw him against Paul Craig last year. I don't know. Who am I? Where am I? Did I win by DQ? No? Yeah, I'm betting on that guy. That's how big of a jerk off I am. He doesn't have a lot of momentum, even though he's only lost 1 out of his last 3 fights. He still hasn't won any of them, and he does have that fucking acting job against Paul Craig. So, in general, not a lot of momentum for Rodolfo Bellato. But the reason I'm picking him is because he's shown grit in the past. He's a big, strong, well-rounded guy, and I think he's going to next level Luke Fernandez. Don't worry, I'm here to talk about Luke Fernandez. He's the newcomer. I'm not going to harp on Rodolfo Bellato's career. I know you guys are well acquainted with him. But let me just say the real basis for the prediction is he's a well-rounded guy. He's physically imposing. I think he can shut down Luke Fernandez, stop himself from being bulldozed. And I think on the feet, even though Luke Fernandez is still going to give him a lot to worry about, I think Rodolfo Bellato, without his fucking chin failing him, he's capable of being a warhorse. Comeback victories over Ihor Potieria, Murtazala Ali, a war with Jimmy Crute where he was definitely the last man standing. His only 2 knockout losses are to Vitor Petrino, who's knocking out heavyweights built like fucking horses. And again, he doesn't have a lot of momentum with the clear loss to Navo Sterling, although, again, I thought he battled his way back into that fight in the end. And the fucking Paul Craig finish and whatever else. He doesn't have a lot of momentum, but he's got a much deeper resume. And I think if his chin is standing tall, I've got him winning. And I also think he's fighting a guy in Luke Fernandez who doesn't have him beaten on the athletic level. I think he should be able to keep his chin safe, Rodolfo Bellato. And I've got him getting by round 1, shutting down Luke, and overwhelming him with a TKO. Now I'm here to talk about Luke Fernandez. Luke is 6-0 as a pro. 1 decision, which was a 4-round fight against Christian Edwards. Wasn't the most exerting fight, but no, actually it was. It was very clinch heavy. And it was a slow fight, but because there was a lot of exertion. But still, it wasn't the biggest thriller. He was a step ahead. And in general, even after 4 rounds, he wasn't tested too much. Not visibly anyway. I know the clinch is grueling and fights in tight like that are exerting. But that's his only decision. His other victories, he's pretty much steamrolled all these guys. Not a lot of adversity. Got this guy Peter New out of there in round 2. That was, I think, on the ground. He almost had him out of there in round 1 towards the end. But in round 2, he closed the show. His striking, I think, has come along pretty nicely. He didn't get too many finishes as an amateur by TKO, but he's been knocking guys out as of late, and that includes knocking out Rafael Pergentino on the Contender Series. He just fucking cracked him with a right hand 15 seconds into the fight. I believe cracked this guy Greg Ellis with a nice short left hook. He definitely has some Chris Weidman thing going on, although I don't think he's as good of a wrestler, grappler, maybe striker. But yeah, Luke Fernandez is well rounded, and he's from New Jersey, close enough to Weidman, and he's a good, well-rounded fighter. I think he's a really good grappler. I've seen some grappling matches of his. He's beaten Eric Anders and Phil Hawes, and he's got it going on. But I think he's not the sharpest athlete. I think even though he's definitely got power going for him on the feet, and he keeps his hands tight. He's got good hands. I still think he hasn't been tested, and I think Rodolfo Bellato has earned a reputation for knockout, drag out wars. But before his next reputation for fucking taking dives or whatever. And I think here he's going to drag this fight in one way or another into round two. Hopefully, that doesn't entail surviving a near death experience. But Rodolfo Bellato's done that on more than one occasion. Again, fucking being hurt in multiple fights. And I think he's going to drag Luke Fernandez into deep waters, hurt him where he hasn't been hurt, and I've got him putting him away. And as for the odds, Rodolfo Bellato is plus 200. He's a 2-1 underdog. I like that. I'm not married to one particular method of victory. I think the TKO would come before anything else. Even though Rodolfo Bellato is good on the ground as well, good submission artist. But I got the TKO coming before decision and submission. But without having seen Luke Fernandez lose, there's nothing I can really trust. Speaking of trust, I can't really trust Rodolfo Bellato altogether because he took a dive against Paul Craig. But at 2-1 odds, he's got my money, a little bit of it. And yeah, I'm playing Rodolfo Bellato. Playing him and picking him. Rodolfo Bellato by TKO. Next up, we have Jeong Lee taking on Gaston Bolanos. My prediction for this fight is Jeong Lee wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. And the basis for the prediction is he's the natural featherweight. He's the bigger man. He's got height and reach on Bolanos, even though hopefully for his sake, he's not looking to rely on his reach. But I think the physical traits will help him on the feet and help him plan his takedowns and his entries. Gaston Bolanos, a shorter guy, the lower center of gravity, theoretically should be harder to take down, but he's not such a good grappler. And I think Jeong Lee in tight gets the better of him. And I think if these two are rolling around on the ground without any clear takedowns and it's a scrambling, grappling match, Jeong Lee gets the better of him. I think he outscrambles him positionally, gets his hips higher, gets the better position. And I also think if there was to be a finish, certainly Jeong Lee gets the first finish by submission. On the feet, Gaston Bolanos may be physically outgunned here. He's a bantamweight moving up here to featherweight, but he's a very dangerous guy. He's got incredibly sharp technical striking and a signature spinning back elbow that can never be discounted because this guy is very sharp. It means something with him. But Jeong Lee, I think, is the overall better fighter. I think the gap is much tighter on the feet than it is on the ground. Not that Jeong Lee is the most reliable grappler, which he is not. But hopefully here with this guy in front of him, that's what he's gearing himself towards, hitting takedowns. He's been knocked out once himself against Hyder Emil, Jeong Lee, 2 years ago almost. He got steamrolled there. He actually cracked Hyder with a good shot. But Hyder Emil, I don't know if he was feeling that shot or whatever, but he put his foot on the gas and went full Vitor Belfort, charging at him with punches and overwhelmed him and got the finish in a minute. So that wasn't the greatest look, I suppose, overall for his durability, but he didn't go unconscious. And here against Gaston Bolanos, he's fighting a more technical guy, a shorter, more technical guy that's looking to set traps and things, making reads. I don't think he's going to be blitzing Jeong Lee. And I think Jeong Lee will, in general, be able to keep himself safer with his physical advantages. Jeong Lee Again, he's not the most reliable grappler. He does have 3 submissions. I believe they're all from the guard, all arm bars. He does have a good arm bar, even going back to his amateur career. So that seems to be his signature move. But in general, I think when I say he wins the grappling portion of this fight, I've got him being on top. I think he's the one that's going to be looking to hit takedowns in the first place. And he showed he could do that against Blake Builder. Maybe not the cleanest takedowns, but he showed he could rip him to the mat. He did that from the clinch, I believe, as well. And I think Jeong Lee gets the better of Bolanos, whether it's by out wrestling him, thoroughly out grappling him, or whatever. I think he slows this fight down and uses his size advantage in tight when he gets on top of Bolanos. On the feet, Bolanos, I give him the advantage, even though he's got physical traits going the other way, disadvantages. He's still a really sharp guy. And even though he's been knocked out himself against Marcus McGee with a spinning wheel kick in round 3 or whatever it was, I think Gaston Bolanos is still very tough. He's still 33 years old. And despite the height and reach disadvantage, he's got danger on his side here. And I'm sure he and his coaches are aware of Jeong Lee's loss to Hyder Emil, because I don't think he's going to be looking to plug himself into uh, the other losses. Well, he lost. Jeong Lee lost a 2-round fight earlier in his career to this guy Se Young Kim. He was a half step behind in that fight, but he avenged the loss a year later and knocked the guy out. His other loss is to Daniel Santos. Daniel Santos is much more of a reliable, well-rounded MMA fighter than Gaston Bolanos, in my opinion. Jeong Lee, he's bigger, he's got leverage, he's not Cortavius Romeus. I think he gets the better of the scrambling, the grappling, and he wins a decision. He's a minus 250 favorite. I haven't bet on him. The odds aren't available, but I won't be looking to bet on him. And I don't think I'll be looking to bet on anything on this fight. No props and not looking to play the other side. All right. Next up, we have Rafael Tobias taking on Diyar Nurgozhay. My prediction for this fight is Tobias wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by submission in round 2. And the basis for the prediction is he's got my trust more than Diyar Nurgozhay. Rafael Tobias isn't the most tested guy himself, and I haven't seen as much footage as I'd like, but I've seen enough to respect he's got skills all around. He looked really good on the Contender Series in his last fight. He's shown he can take it himself, even though he was knocked out 2 years ago or 3 years ago almost. This guy Miguel Porto, who, if nothing else, is a dangerous guy. I actually want to see this guy's record. 4 wins, all by knockout. Yeah, as you can see, he's built like a guy that knows how to punch. And he cracked him in round 2 after a good start for Tobias, and he ended up getting finished. But he's looked tough in every fight I've seen him in since, been able to take it. Jair de Oliveira on the Contender Series, he went through him and got a rear naked choke. And there's no major doubts in him. He's 22 years old, really young guy. All of this professional experience takes place in the last 3 years or so, 4 years. And I think he's got a ton of upside. And Diyar Nurgozhay, I don't think he's shown his best self in the UFC so far, but there's just too much doubt there. He's only got 2 losses in his whole career, but they're in his last 2 fights. They're both by submission. I think he was dropped in both of them. He was dropped in both those fights, and just wasn't the most encouraging look, where I have to go against him here. I think Tobias has a lot of skills everywhere. I think he's better on the ground. And even though he's been knocked out before, and Diyar Nurgozhay has some really good kicks, I think Tobias is able to physically bully him in tight. I think he's going to be looking to out wrestle him in the first place and out grapple him. And I think he gets a submission. Of course, on the feet, Tobias is really dangerous. Nurgozhay is vulnerable, so he could crack him there. And like I said, he's been cracked in these 2 fights, and both of them ended in submission losses. So I'm definitely going with a submission for Rafael Tobias. But Diyar Nurgozhay, he's 28 years old, a little older, not much more seasoned as a fighter, but he's got a little more UFC experience now, for whatever that's worth. He's been 5 rounds. He's got good rangy kicks. Likes to slam body kicks. They don't produce results like the head kicks do. You see, he's got a few head kick finishes here. But in general, I think he's good at kicking range, and I think he's got something to offer Rafael Tobias standing up. But Tobias is the more well-rounded guy. And even though I haven't seen all the footage on him and he's a youngster at 22, he is my pick. I've got Rafael Tobias winning this fight. And as for the odds, he is minus 286. Rafael Tobias, Diyar Nurgozhay coming back at plus 230. I'm not inclined to bet on either guy, not the money lines. I'll wait for the props, see what the submission line looks like for Rafael Tobias or the finish line altogether. But in general, I have a feeling I'm staying away from this one. And on the flip side, I would look for Diyar Nurgozhay by TKO if those odds are really long. I feel like that would come before anything else. It's how Rafael Tobias has been finished once, and it's how Diyar Nurgozhay typically finishes his fights. Next up, we have Jesus Santos Aguillar taking on Madaerji. My prediction for this fight is Jesus Santos Aguillar wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by guillotine choke in round 2. And the basis for the prediction is he's got a really good guillotine choke. And Madaerji has been submitted in 6 of his 7 losses. He is definitely still submittable. He's been caught mostly by guys who have more thoroughly outgrappled him, taken him down, I should say, and gotten on top of him in one way or another. A lot of arm bars, but people have strangled him as well. No guillotine chokes on his record, no losses or victories, I believe. Got to see what his one victory is. But I think Jesus Santos Aguilar, he's not a conventional grappler. He's definitely he is a well-rounded grappler, and he's totally capable of taking over the fight if you give him top position. But here, he's given up 10 inches of reach. I think he's going to be forcing things, and what I've got happening is him in a scramble, snatching the neck of Madaerji. And that's a place where he's more dangerous than anybody Madaerji's fought. Tim Elliott, Matt Schnell, even though Matt Schnell has a really good guillotine. Any of these guys, Charles Johnson, whoever. Jesus Santos Aguilar has a really good guillotine. It's more dangerous than fucking Brandon Royval's guillotine. I don't know. But I think here on the feet, Madaerji has 10 inches of reach. He's in total control of this fight. Jesus Santos Aguilar can feel free to really throw down, and he's not a conventional wrestle boxer type of fighter like Mitch Raposo. I think he's free to be aggressive because he wants wild shit where he can snatch a neck. He wants a scramble. But Madaerji, make no mistake about it, regardless of how aggressive Jesus Santos Aguillar is and how free he feels to go with powerful shots and aggression, Madaerji is going to be getting the better of him on the feet. He's very dangerous himself. Wouldn't surprise me if he was the first person to knock out Jesus Santos Aguillar, but if you told me Madaerji wins this fight and put a gun to my head, I would tell you he wins by decision. I think he wins on points if he's the win. Jesus Santos Aguilar, he's never been knocked out. He's been submitted twice against Tatsuro Taira and some other asshole in his professional debut. I think it was me. It doesn't even matter. It's his professional debut. May as well be an amateur fight. With Madaerji, it's a thing that's plagued him from his very first loss, which might have been his first professional fight, his second professional fight. He lost by straight armbar, but just about every loss since then, he's lost by submission as well. Aside from the Charles Johnson fight, even though that was a very close fight, and I had Madaerji winning by decision. I bet on it anyway. I don't know. But regardless, here, I think it's one way or the other. I think it's Madaerji winning by decision, piecing up Jesus Santos Aguilar, or it's Jesus Santos Aguilar submitting Madaerji. And again, the fight I'm envisioning when I tell you I've got Jesus winning by guillotine, it's not one where he's thoroughly dominating. I don't think he's going to be dominant at all. I think he's going to snatch a neck, plain and simple. I think he's tough. I think that's going to keep him in the fight against the dangerous Madaerji with a foot of reach on him. And I think Jesus Santos Aguilar, whether it's with a takedown, a big punch, some wild scramble, just a collision or whatever, at some point he's going to see that neck. He's going to take it. He's going to get the sub. I've bet on Jesus Santos Aguilar. He's plus 185, but this is one where I will look for the props. I will look for Jesus Santos Aguilar by submission, even though I do think he's in the realm of winning by decision, and the money line covers everything. And I'll look for Madaerji's decision line, because his record is stacked with TKOs and knockouts, and if that decision line is juicy, that is what I think is far more likely for him. And of course, they have both sides of the coin, where Jesus by submission slash Madaerji by decision. If that's a positive line, certainly, or something close, I'll play that. But the pick, no doubt, with the money line staring at me and nothing else, Jesus Santos Aguilar wins, and that is my bet. Plus 185. Next up, we have Cody Durden taking on Nyamjargal Tumendemberel. That's right, it's Nyamjargal Tumendemberel. My prediction for this fight is Cody Durden wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision, and I have zero confidence in this prediction whatsoever. This is one of those, it's going one way or the other way, like every other fight. But this one, it's Cody Durden, in my opinion, being the sharper guy. I mean, Cody Durden is an excellent, well-rounded fighter, wrestle boxer in particular, even though he can grapple as well, but really sharp. I think he wins the small moments. I think he's ahead. I think he's winning the small moments and ahead against any fighter on earth pretty much, but he's not durable. And not any fighter on earth, of course. I've seen him shut down, but Cody Durden is not durable. That's the crux of the matter here. He's got 9 losses, 7 of which come by finish, only 2 by knockout, 5 by submission, but he's been rocked a good amount. In general, he's just on shaky legs. He's fought nothing but killers. I mean, the worst guy he's lost to right now might be Jose Ochoa or Bruno Silva or whatever, but these guys are still fucking awesome. Everybody's way more proven than Nyamjargal Tumendemberel. The thing is, Nyamjargal Tumendemberel, he's got a very pretty record himself, 9-1, all finishes aside from one decision over this guy, Chuatana Topnoy. That's his nickname anyway, on the road to UFC. And that guy's a guy with a deep, deceptive, shitty record, but very tough. But he's killed everyone else. And the only other decision of his is his one loss to Carlos Fernandez by split decision. And even there, I thought he lost the small moments, but he gave Carlos Hernandez a few near death experiences and definitely showed his danger. And I think here he's got danger against Cody. He could easily win this fight with one moment. And I've got it going the other way. Somehow I've got Cody Durden fighting a perfect fight or near close to it and outpointing Nyamjargal. I think he's going to return to being the aggressive wrestler. I think his takedowns will be there for him. And I think he's sharper on the feet. He's got to mind his P's and Q's. Again, Nyamjargal throws the kill, but Cody has really sharp hands. And look, Nyamjargal's really good at taking your back, really good at lacing up chokes, locking up a head and arm anaconda darces, I'm sure. I think Cody can't give him a moment, even in scrambles and getting lazy in the clinch, just letting his head get snatched up or his back get taken. But Cody Durden, I think, wins the wrestling battle. I think he wins the scrambling battle. And I think if his chin doesn't fail him, which it totally might here, he wins the stand-up battle. I think he's got better numbers. I think he's got sharper hands. And I know he's got good cardio as well. Again, maybe his chin doesn't have the greatest cardio. But Cody Durden is the pick. I've got him winning by decision. I will look for the props. I would definitely favor Nyamjargal to win by submission over knockout if he was to win. But for a guy with the nickname, the art of the knockout or whatever it is, he doesn't have too many knockouts, but he throws the kill. He's definitely got danger, and Cody's got a shaky chin. Although, again, even there, if he hurt Cody Durden, I would take him to win to close the show with a submission. But the pick is Cody Durden. I've got him winning by decision. And this is one where I think it's one way or the other two ways or whatever. So I will wait for the props. Next up, we have Alberto Montes making his UFC debut against Ricky Turcios. My prediction for this fight is Alberto Montes wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. And the basis for the prediction is I think he's a good, well-rounded guy. Doesn't have the most knockouts showing on his record, but he's definitely a good striker as well. He's got one knockout in his 11 wins, and actually his one loss comes by knockout. But that's the thing. I don't think Ricky Turcios is likely to plug himself into this loss to Ira Lukowski back in 2021. And I think Alberto Montes has an answer for Ricky Turcios everywhere. On the feet, I believe he's a Taekwondo guy, first and foremost, but I believe he's a little more powerful than Ricky, and he's got really sharp kicks. And I haven't seen all of his fights, and he's actually had a gap for 4 years, where since coming back after a 4-year layoff, he's only had 5 fights, and he's 4-1 in those fights. But a good amount of them have gone to round 2, is certainly in his last one against Carlos Calderon. I really liked the way he looked in round 2. After a tough round 1, which was, the whole fight was a really fun grappling match. And I thought he was definitely the sharper man in round 2, outlasted Carlos, was beating him up, nice kicks to the body, took the fight out of him, and then strangled him. And he's got great strangulations, too. He's got anaconda chokes. And this Darce here over Adam Ortiz, that's an anaconda choke. It's not a Darce or a Bravo choke. But yeah, all anaconda chokes, although I'm sure he's got a good Darce. But yeah, it's been responsible for 4 of his last 4 victories. And even this decision over Jonathan Quiroz. His anaconda was certainly there for him. An excellent scramble in round 3, where it looked like the guy was about to lock up an anaconda on him, and he flipped his way out of it, fucking Granby roll, sweep type of shit, got his way out of it, and locked up an anaconda himself just to close out the round. Wasn't able to close the show. But that fight was, again, before the 4-year layoff. Back in 2017, so it's not as relevant. And here he is a featherweight. He used to fight at bantamweight, but he's more established as featherweight, and that's where Ricky Turcios is moving up here. He's moving up to featherweight. I can't say that, I'm assuming Alberto Montes is better adjusted because he's been there for some time now, but Ricky Turcios, He's an inch taller. He's not the most filled out guy to begin with. I think he can still maintain his whatever athleticism he has and transition well to 145. And I don't think he's going to be giving up too much size to Alberto Montes, although in tight, I think Alberto Montes is the stronger physical force. I think Ricky Turcios is more funky. He's more outside rangy. But I think here his range is not going to be there for him against a guy that's a better kicker than him. And I think in tight, Ricky Turcios is certainly giving up the power to Alberto Montes, even though, again, Montes only has one TKO win, knockout win. And I think Ricky Turcios' main strength here is cardio. Ricky Turcios does have really good cardio. He's a well-rounded guy. He's a good scrambler. Maybe he can scramble his way out of some anaconda chokes if he needs to. But I do think altogether it's not going to be enough. I think Alberto Montes looks really good. I think he's looked really good as of late. And his one loss, was to this guy, Ira Lukowski, who hurt him a few times in round one, I believe. The guy doesn't have the prettiest record. It's like fucking 4-3, 3-4. Ugh. Yeah, it's not the prettiest record, but as you can see from his picture, he's a big physical country boy nicknamed the American Thoroughbred. So, and that's what he fought like. He just attacked Alberto, and he ended up knocking him out after hurting him a little bit in round one, roughing him up, and he caught him with a big punch early in round two. That can happen again, but it hasn't happened before since. Alberto Montes is 31. In general, I trust his health. And also, I don't think Ricky Turcios is the most likely guy to crack a chin to begin with. So I've got Alberto Montes winning. He's got an incredible choke. It wouldn't surprise me if he was able to submit Ricky Turcios, but with the only guy being able to do that being Raul Rosas Jr., I'm going to pick Montes to win a decision here. And also, Ricky's been knocked out against Mana Martinez. Don't think I'd need to look that up. But yeah, I'm picking Alberto to outpoint Ricky, frustrate him wherever the fight goes, have good cardio, even though it's no lock. I haven't seen him go the distance since he's had that 4-year layoff. But again, the fight before that, he looked good down the stretch. No real doubts in him, and I've got him winning by decision. I haven't bet on him. He's a 2-1 favorite. Maybe I'll consider it, but of course, if I place any bets on him, it's not going to be anything too heavy because even though Ricky Turcios might be a little overrated as far as Ultimate Fighter winners go, certainly, but even as UFC fighters go, he is still a level up for Alberto Montes. He's better than Carlos Calderon. So, all right. Next up, we have Donte Johnson taking on Cody Brundage. And this is one where you're going to go, Al Dente, what the fuck are you doing? You need help. Get yourself some help. You're picking Cody Brundage, and you've got him winning by round 2 knockout? That's what you're telling me? Dente? Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. I've got Cody Brundage beating Donte Johnson by round 2 knockout. I think Cody Brundage is going to next level Donte Johnson. That's how big of a jerk off I am. And I saw what happened when Cody Brundage fought Cedricus Dumas, the guy that Donte Johnson beat with a ninja choke, his first ever submission, even going back to his amateur career. But I'm picking Cody Brundage because I do think Donte Johnson is a small little ball of danger, but I do think it won't be long before he finds himself undersized, overmatched physically at middleweight. And that's what I've got Cody Brundage doing here. Cody Brundage is one of the most breakable fighters in the UFC. I really don't want to shit on him. Every time I talk about Cody, I feel like just some punk jerk off on the internet. Like, this guy's got quit in him. He's got no fucking heart or whatever. I don't want to shit on him, but I see what you see. He doesn't have the most fight when the going gets tough. He's breakable anyway, submittable, knockoutable, the rest of it. He's been he's been beaten enough in front of our eyes where we know he doesn't make the best nail. But he is a pretty good hammer. He does have 9 finishes in his 11 victories. He has stayed afloat in the UFC with victories. Got a nice one over Julian Marquez. And also, there's no contest, disqualifications, draws. I'm sure there's some technical decisions, all kinds of bullshit. I see it. But Cody Brundage is still a big, well rounded guy who's difficult to bulldoze. I think he's got skills everywhere. He's sharp. He's technically sharp everywhere. Jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and striking. And not that I don't want to make him sound like he's fucking Adesanya or something. Again, he's definitely he's well rounded. He's not great everywhere, but he's got skills everywhere, and I think he poses problems everywhere for 7-0 Donte Johnson. And I think physically is the starting point, where Cody Brundage is the bigger wrestler. I think on paper, that's a tough guy to bulldoze. Donte Johnson's not Bo Nickel. Johnson's only got one loss as an amateur, and he was knocked out. Deontay Moses Jr., big heavyweight. Wish there was a picture of him, but as you see there, he's 6'4", 236. That's pretty big compared to 5'8" Donte Johnson. I'm sure he was a solid heavyweight as well there, but he's definitely a more natural middleweight, if not fucking welterweight or whatever else. Maybe he and Duran Win can make the cut to featherweight. But until he gets next leveled, he's going to stay here. And I do think he's got danger. I mean, you see his record is full of knockout finishes. And again, the one ninja choke over Cedric Dumas. If you could even call that a choke. I feel like Dumas was just done at that point. He mentally checked out. He was tapping before Donte Johnson had his arms locked pretty much. But Donte Johnson did still outlast Dumas. Dumas, I thought, would be trying to slow him down and take him to the mat. And he had a good minute of control time doing that. But Donte Johnson kept going. Cedric Dumas fell apart, I think, in the end of round 1. And before the midpoint of round 2, he was tapping out to a choke that wasn't there. I really don't want to take away from Donte Johnson's victory, especially because I hate Cedric Dumas, but I just wasn't so impressed. I didn't think that was the most impressive victory. Not that he didn't do exactly what he needed to do. But here, the guy is very dangerous, filled with round 1 finishes and the round 2 finishes against a guy who pretty much no-showed. And I know Cody Brundage fell into a decision loss against Cedric Dumas when he could have easily won if you watch that fight. He just made huge tactical errors repeatedly. But here, I think Cody Brundage is going to be fighting a different type of fighter, a guy where he's going to be looking to shut him down, use his height and reach physically, like Dumas had over him. And I think Cody Brundage is still going to be there in round 2. I think a confident Cody Brundage is a dangerous guy. And I think he's going to grow in confidence, outlast Donte Johnson, and take him out. I've got him doing it with a knockout. Cody's a well-rounded guy. He's got submission skills and wrestling skills. He could win a decision. Almost won one, arguably, over Eric McConaughey in the UFC. But I think his most likely path to victory here is a knockout. And I've got that happening. And it's just based on a little bit of doubt I have in Donte Johnson and this little sliver of hope I've always had in Cody Brundage. The odds aren't available on DraftKings, but it doesn't mean I haven't already bet on Cody Brundage. He's plus 450 on another site anyway, on a BetUS. But whatever the odds are, he's going to be an underdog. And even if the odds shrink, it's going to be my bet because he is my pick. And of course, I'll wait for the props as well. Because, I mean, on the flip side, Cody Brundage is, again, not the best nail. And he's fighting Donte Johnson, who's a killer. But I think Donte Johnson's too big of a favor for me to go reaching for any real props on his side of things. Of course, I'm interested in the under and things like that. But my pick and my play is Cody Brundage, and I'll wait for his props. I've got knockout before anything else. Although, don't get me wrong, the fucking money line is good enough, just like it was with Bobby Green. Am I really picking Cody Brundage? What the fuck is wrong with me? Next up, we have Cody Garbrandt taking on Long Xiao, otherwise known as Xiao Long. My prediction for this fight is Cody Garbrandt wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. And the basis for the prediction is I can't say his chin is safe here, but I think it's more safe than in most of his fights. I think it's held up better than I expected it to in general, to be honest. Cody Garbrandt's chin, since being knocked out in 3 consecutive fights. And I also think in general, there are levels to this game, son. All right, dog. And Long Xiao is 27-10. He's got a nice full resume there, but it's not the deepest resume. And Cody Garbrandt, even though he's got half the experience or whatever, he's not even close to half, but he's got less experience. He is the guy with the much deeper resume. He's the guy who won the championship 9 years ago, whatever it's been, 10 years ago. But yeah, Cody Garbrandt, it looked like he was going to fall hard, and he did suffer 3 consecutive losses by knockout to lose his title there. But he stayed afloat since. He's lost most of his fights since, but he still stayed afloat in the UFC because he's fought nothing but tough competition, and to a small extent, he has won, knocking out Brian Kelleher and Rafael Assunção and getting a decision win over Trevin Jones. And here against Long Xiao, I think his chin keeps him safe. I think he's the sharper guy on the feet. I think he's much quicker. I think his strikes themselves are much quicker as well. He's still got incredibly sharp hands, Cody Garbrandt. And I think Cody Garbrandt is still a good, effective anti-grappler, even though Davis and Figueiredo happened. He was submitted against Davis and Figueiredo for the first time in 2024, UFC 300. He was submitted as an amateur as well, but whatever. But I think Long Xiao, he doesn't have the prettiest UFC record, but I like his traits a lot as a fighter. I think his traits have been there for him, gave him a shot at winning these decisions. He's definitely got good 3 rounds in him. I can't say he's got like great cardio, but he's got heart and he doesn't go away in round 3. He doesn't look as sharp as a guy with a great cardio might look, but he's still there, even in these losses, and certainly in his lone UFC win, knocking out Quang Lee. Caught him with a big right hand and knocked him out on the ground. But he's had some tough decision wins, a lot of decisions. Most of his career, he's won almost half of his wins. 13 out of 27 wins are by decision, and also most of his losses. He's got a ton of seasoning for a 27-year-old, but he's a well-rounded guy. I think is well-rounded. I think his wrestling game's going to be shut down. I don't think he's as dangerous as the guys that have knocked out Cody Garbrandt. They're much faster, aside from maybe Pedro Munoz. But in general, they're faster guys. I think Long Xiao is going to be beaten to the punch here. And I've got him surviving because he's only been legitimately TKO'd once. The other, well, actually, I haven't seen his first TKO loss, but that was 10 years ago. I don't know. But the one like 8 years ago where he got finished against Vadim Busiv, he was clipped with a big shot and then put away on the ground a few seconds later. But in the past 9 years, whatever it's been, 8, 9 years, he hasn't gone down. He's been standing tall. He was hurt against Christian Quinones and definitely a step behind in that fight. But he hasn't gone down. And I've got Cody Garbrandt duplicating a lot of the success Christian Quinones had on the feet anyway. And I've got Cody winning a decision somehow. Cody Garbrandt, it's tough to trust him these days, but at plus odds, I trust him enough to have bet on him. And I guess I'll wait for the props to see if anything jumps out. But like I said, Cody's career is filled with knockouts, and I've got him winning by decision. So I'm not marrying any prop here. Cody Garbrandt is the pick. Next up, we have Gregory Robocop Rodrigues. I think he actually wants to be called Rodrigues, taking on Bruno Ferreira. My prediction for this fight is Gregory wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by knockout slash TKO because I want to cover both options. He's definitely got the power to knock anybody dead, but it's hard to imagine him winning a fight without finishing the guy. I know he's won decisions before, but he's such a destructive guy, a big fucking terminator of a human being. So I'm going to go with him getting a TKO slash knockout over Bruno Ferreira. And the basis for the prediction is despite their first fight, which I'll get to, which was a little over 3 years ago now, Gregory has convinced me. I mean, whatever his UFC record is, it's very pretty. His only loss since then was a main event to Jared Cannonier, and he was definitely within striking distance of winning that fight. But he's been beating great guys. Brad Tavares, Christian Leroy Duncan, a win that I can assure you will get better with age. Jack Hermanson, maybe not, and Roman Kopylov as well. These are guys that, if they haven't been contenders in the past, they're on their way to being contenders, or at least they have a shot. But Gregory Robocop Rodrigues has stepped over all of them. He's definitely more of a puncher, I should say, a striker as an MMA fighter. Even on the ground, he's a puncher, but he is definitely a guy with a good grappling base to the point at which I'd say no one's going to submit him. Bruno Ferreira is a good judoka, and these guys can both grapple, but I don't think either guy's getting a submission. However, if somebody did, I would pick it to happen with a Gregory Robocop Rodrigues getting Bruno Ferreira out of there. But I do think this fight is going to be more about the punches. Imagine that. And I think Gregory Robocop is still, despite the knockout loss, the greater force on the feet. I know he's got height and reach, and he didn't make the greatest use of it in their first fight, but it was definitely there for him. He was putting together combinations a little more comfortably, whereas Brunno was jumping into things. And actually, the moment there was like a combination or two before the finish where Brunno realized, I'll just let this guy come to me and I'll return fire when he's given me his strikes, giving up his chin. And that's what Brunno did. He actually froze RoboCop by winging some punches that RoboCop easily saw coming. But that last punch was a little straighter than he expected, and it landed right on the button and knocked him out. A big straight left hand. And obviously, RoboCop, he's been knocked out in 4 of his 6 losses, but 3 of them really he was knocked out, including the Bruno Ferreira loss. So his chin has to be a concern as he enters his mid 30s now. But I think he's still a healthy guy. I think he's still even more dangerous than Bruno Ferreira. And I think here he's going to really mind his P's and Q's, protect his chin, because I think despite the skills of Bruno Ferreira on the ground, his really only path to victory is a knockout. I mean, sure, he could nearly knock Gregory out a few times and win a decision, I suppose. But I think RoboCop wins the positional battle, the grappling battle, and I think on the feet, his size and reach and the rest of it is there for him as well, where he's dictating things. I think he's the more effective stalker, and I think if they both land as compact and powerful as Brunno is, RoboCop is even more dangerous. Pound for pound, he hits harder than fucking anybody. Probably hits harder than Francis Ngannou, even without the fucking pound for pound shit. All right. I'm exaggerating here. But my point is, I think he does more damage. I think he's the more destructive guy, and I've got him getting a finish. I haven't bet on him. He's inside 2-1 now, minus 198. It's like when the fucking stores try to sell you something for $19.99. It's like, who are you fooling here? That's $20. Well, Gregory RoboCop at 2-1 odds. I'm not looking to bet on him. I'll wait for the over-under, certainly set at 2.5 rounds, and the props and the horse shit. And certainly Bruno Ferreira's knockout line. I actually remember, I'm very sure I picked RoboCop to win their first fight, but I bet on Bruno Ferreira to get the knockout. because that's how I assess things. I didn't have faith in the chin of RoboCop, and it came through for me in a big way. But here I'm picking RoboCop, and I don't know if and what I'm betting on anything, but it won't be substantial, and nothing can be substantial with me because I'm a nickel and dime shitheel. All right. Next up, we have a fight between two of my favorite veteran warhorses in the UFC, Michael Johnson versus Drew Dober. And I think Jim Miller is going to be the special guest referee. My prediction for this fight is Michael Johnson wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. This is a really close matchup. Both guys are long in the tooth. They've been in the UFC for well over a decade. Michael Johnson since Tough 11. Drew Dober since Tough 15, I believe. And here we are, Tough 30. Fuck. These guys are still going. And Michael Johnson's my pick because Michael Johnson's got a lot of momentum. I think Michael Johnson's main Achilles heel, his submission defense, is kind of off the table here. And the same could be said for Drew Dober. But I've got Michael Johnson being the better man on the feet with his hands. I think his hands are a little faster. I think Drew Dober is really fast and he moves really well, but I think Michael Johnson does as well. I think he takes away a lot of those typical advantages for Dober. And as far as durability, look, both guys have now been finished a few times. Drew Dober had a long streak where he hadn't been knocked out in a long time, even though he was knocked out way back when in his first loss or whatever it was. Ramiro Hernandez in 2011 put him out on the ground. But since then, it wasn't until Matt Frivola beat him in 2023. Clipped him with a big shot. Didn't knock him out, and Drew was still trying to fight there, but he was hurt. And since then, we've seen him hurt on multiple occasions and even finished against Manuel Torres and technically against Jean Silva. But he's been rocked before. Rafael Alves, Bobby Green, Terrence McKinney, Kyle Prepolek. He's definitely got a lot of mileage on his chin, even though he's the younger guy in this matchup. He's a bright young 37-year-old. Michael Johnson is 40 years old, I believe. No, he's 39. He'll be 40 any minute now. But despite that, Michael Johnson, he's looked great as of late. Shut down Daniel Zellhuber, just like Bobby Green did. And both were fucking 5-1 underdogs. Got a knockout over Atman Azaitar, who was definitely a little chinny and didn't belong in there. But he's got a lot of momentum. The opposition isn't the greatest, but these are guys who thought they belonged in the UFC, and Michael Johnson stepped over all of them. He was very competitive in the fight against Carlos Diego Ferreira, but he got cracked with a big shot. That's the last time he was knocked out 3 years ago, and I believe that's one of 3 knockout losses. He also got knocked out against Josh Emmett and Justin Gaethje, famously, in that fucking epic fight. Josh Emmett cracked him in round 3. No one hits harder than Josh Emmett, aside from maybe Drew Dober, actually. So, yeah, he's definitely got to mind his chin here, Michael Johnson. And it's not a lock at all that he wins this fight. I've got him winning the small moments, and I think his hands are sharper where he could win the big moments. But both guys have been hurt in the last few years, knocked out, and they both hit hard enough to cash in on the other's chin. But I've got Michael Johnson winning here. I think grappling wise, they may both be a little vulnerable there, but not against each other. I think there's only points to be scored on the ground. And I've got Michael Johnson, even though he's not, I think, as physically imposing as Drew Dober. I've got him being the more willing wrestler, even though I heard an interview with Drew Dober last year, I think before the Prepolek fight, where he was saying, I'm going to be a grappler now. But they're both going to be strikers now and from now on and in the past. And I think on the feet, Michael Johnson is the faster man. His hands carry the small moments. And I've got him winning a decision here, if not a knockout. It's toss-up odds. I think it's a toss-up fight, so it's not the greatest play, but I have played Michael Johnson. And I I've got him winning by decision. This is one where I won't look for the props. Of course, who am I kidding? I'll look for the props, but again, I'm not married to decision here because both guys have shown vulnerability. So Michael Johnson's the play. Next up, we have Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Rob Font. My prediction here is Raul Rosas Jr. wins, and I've got him winning by decision. I think Raul Rosas Jr. is developing into an excellent fighter, and I think he's already an excellent wrestler. And he hasn't developed into such a fighter where that wrestling has dissipated like it typically does. He's still got a mean takedown in him, and I think he's got 12 of them if need be. And Rob Font, he doesn't have the strongest takedown defense. He's fighting in general a better level of opposition. Don't think I'm not aware of that, but the takedown defense is visibly subpar for a top fighter. I think Rob Font still has a lot of excellent traits, though. He's that savvy veteran. He's got good cardio and obviously good stand up and probably underrated as a grappler. But I think Raul Rosas Jr. is the better grappler. I think Raul Rosas Jr., there's no major doubts in him. His one loss is to C Rod, Christian Rodrigues, which in the end was still a close fight. And I do think Rob Font's got the traits like C Rod, composed, savvy, well, much more of a veteran than Christian Rodrigues, but a very composed fighter with good cardio and really good durability as well. Rob Font's only ever been finished once, and it was when he was hurt against Pedro Munoz and then guillotined. And Pedro Munoz has a super guillotine, even though we probably haven't seen it since. But Raul Rosas Jr., as good as he is, and he's definitely a really good grappler, I think here his best course is to slow this fight down with his grappling, to just keep it at the out wrestling Rob Font level. If he starts trying to thoroughly out grapple Rob Font, he might leave room for scrambles. And I think scrambling and activity and exertion favors Rob Font. Rob Font, he shut down some good fighters, some up and comers in the last few years. Jean Matsumoto handed him his first loss. And Jean Matsumoto's second loss was also a really close fight a few weeks ago against Basharat, the good one. And he also shut down Adrian Yanez in a big way 3 years ago, knocked him out. That was an excellent next level type of performance. And also the win over Kyler Phillips. I think he looked excellent in that fight. And Rob Font, he's one of those guys that just sometimes it could look like it's just not his fight, but he doesn't go away. He's got excellent cardio, and his hands are phenomenal and really dangerous as well. He's never been knocked out, although he might have suffered like 10 concussions in the Cheeto Vera fight and the Jose Aldo fight. He's definitely been beaten up. But Raul Rosas Jr. is as good as a stand-up might be developing. He's still a step behind Rob Font. He's just a 21-year-old kid. And I heard an interview with him, actually the podcast that Dominic Cruz does, Raul Rosas Jr. sat down with Dominic Cruz for an hour, and he reassured me by saying, I'm not an idiot. I'm not gonna look in a strike with Rob Font. It's just a means to an end, which is a great mindset for a young fighter who I'm sure is trying to show everybody his new tricks every fight. Here, I would keep it limited to single shots, just, big punches and, nice jabs in his face just as a way to distract them from the takedown. But Raul Rosas Jr., he's got a good chin on him. He's got excellent cardio, and he's got skills, really strong skills, especially in the wrestling and grappling department. And whether he needs one takedown, 3 or 12, I've got him winning this fight against Rob Font. I have bet on him because the odds are tight enough, but of course I'll wait for the props. I think decision is far and away his most likely path to victory. But in general, I can tell you I'm going with Raul Rosas Jr. here. And in the co-main event of the evening, we have Renier de Ritter taking on Caio Borralho. My prediction for this fight is Caio Borralho wins, and I'm going to go with him winning by decision. And the basis for the prediction is I think Caio Borralho's too strong physically and grappling wise for Renier de Ridder to go through him. And I think on the feet, Kyle Bahayo's a sharper man. I think he's much sharper on the feet than Renier de Ridder. Renier de Ridder's bigger, and he's got excellent knees to the body. Crashes in with those things. Doesn't matter what your stance is. These guys are both southpaws. He throws both legs, both knees, I should say, and it's a particularly dangerous weapon of his. We saw him get Bo Nickel out of there last year in an epic victory. And also, he really impressed me, not just with big moments, but the small moments, scratching and clawing for a decision win over Robert Whitaker. What the fuck I call him? Rob Whitaker. Um, he beat Robert Whitaker, 5-round split decision. I thought it was just. I thought it should have gone his way. But just having that kind of a fight with Robert Whitaker, a 5-round war with a championship fighter like that, was a really good look. And then it all came crumbling down. His next fight against Brendan Allen, he fought a guy that could take away his grappling, put him on his back, and win that physicality battle within the grappling, and he beat the fight out of Renier de Ridder. It was a slow death, so he got TKO'd after round 4, but even though it was a different fight, it wasn't too different from Anatoly Malakin here. Anatoly Malikin. I don't know. But yeah, Malikin beat him twice. First time he went through him, I think that was at middleweight. And then at heavyweight, we should probably look at this. At light heavyweight, I mean, where Malikin was defending his belt, he beat Renier de Ridder down. Renier de Ridder was doing the same thing, flopping around and gasping for air, and he pretty much was forced to quit. I don't think that's going to happen here with Kyle Bahayo. First of all, I'm assuming Renier de Ridder, even though he'd lost like that before, with the bright lights on him in the UFC against Brendan Allen in the main event and not too far removed from the tippy top of the sport. I think that a title shot was on the line for Renier de Ridder there, and he melted in a big way. So I'm assuming he's done everything he could at 35 years old to mitigate that shitty cardio. And I think it's a specific kind of cardio, the type of physical fight that made him spend his energy like that. And I don't think that's going to happen here with Kyle Bahayo, even though he's a big, strong, physical grappler himself. I think Kyle is looking to keep this on the feet. Renier de Ridder's got weapons there, but bread and butter striking. Kyle Bahayo is sharper. He's the guy that beat Jared Cannonier in a pretty close fight, to be honest. But still, large portion of that, just about all of it, was on the feet. And Kyle Bahayo, he showed he can go for 5 rounds, really bringing it in the end of that fight as well. He may not be Mr. Knockout. He's only got 5 of his 17 wins coming by TKO or knockout, but it came through for him in the UFC against Paul Craig. And here I think he gets whatever big moments there are against Renier de Ridder, aside from knees to the body. And I think all the small moments belong to Kyle as well. He's also a stronger physical force in there than Robert Whitaker. I know Robert Whitaker, he's a wrestler first and foremost, even though most people forget about that. But still, I don't think Renier de Ridder is going to have any success trying to go through Kyle Bahayo with grappling. So I think on the feet, Renier de Ridder is going to be making his height and reach work for him, but not well enough. And I think Kyle Bahayo is going to slowly but surely start piecing him up with his hands. And I've got that being the story of this fight. I'm going to go with it being by decision because, again, Kyle Bahayo, I think, Renier de Ridder, he's melted and been finished in more of these grappling type of fights, aside from the first Malikan loss. But Kyle, he's a tough guy to dominate. I think here he figures out he's a step ahead of Renier de Ridder, and I think he fights comfortably to a decision. And I probably should have talked about Kyle Bahayo's 2 losses. He lost his last fight against Nasruddin Imavov, which was the first loss of his in almost 10 years, over 10 years. And I saw that fight that he lost 10 years ago, but it was 10 years ago. Shitty footage. Doesn't matter. But against Nasruddin Imavov, he fought a bigger, taller guy like Renier de Ritter, and he was shut down, but it was striking wise. His grappling, he was the one trying to mix in some grappling, although not mix it up enough. And Nasruddin Imavov shut it down. He shut it down from level one with his stance and all that. And he got the better of Kyle throughout the whole fight. Kyle did not try to fight his way back into that, in my opinion. I thought he needed to start taking risks, and he didn't. But I don't think he's going to be letting Renier de Ritter lead the dance here. I think Renier de Ritter on the feet is going to need to get aggressive and get some big moments to take over this fight. But I got Kaio, and I haven't bet too much on him. I put him in a parlay. He's almost 3-1, which I'm not crazy about. I'll wait for the props. And I should say, Renier de Ritter's a killer submission artist. If he gets on top of Kyle Bahayo, he's one of the few guys in the realm of finishing him. I put him right there with Hamzat and whoever the fuck else. But I don't have that happening here. I've got Kyle winning. All right. Next fight. And in the main event of the evening, we have Charles do Bronx Oliveira challenging Max Holloway for the Intercontinental Hardcore Championship. My prediction for this fight is Charles Oliveira wins, and I've got him winning by submission in round 2. And the basis for the prediction is not Max Holloway's submission defense, because he's only been submitted once, and it was to Dustin Poirier, and it was over 14 years ago. So on paper, Max shouldn't be submittable. But Charles Oliveira, he's far and away the best submission artist in the lightweight division, in any division. He's the number one dog. I know there's guys with better overall jiu-jitsu, but Charles is the most dangerous guy. And these guys, they did fight before, however many years ago. It's like it never happened, and it was a featherweight fight. And it ended in an injury. Charles Oliveira injured his neck, even though it's listed as an esophagus injury, I believe. Where the fuck is it? Esophagus injury. But yeah, it was ruled to be his neck afterwards. But either way, that was back at featherweight. At lightweight, where they take place now, where this fight will take place now, I think Charles Oliveira has made a great transition to lightweight from featherweight. I mean, he's been a lightweight for years and years now, been the champion. But I think his body's filled in well. I'm not gay, I swear. I think he's got good takedowns, great athleticism, and his striking has come along really well with the 10 extra pounds of muscle. I think he's a dangerous guy. I think he's more dangerous than Max and more diverse of a striker. I think Max gets the better numbers and gets the better of the boxing, no doubt. But Charles Oliveira, I think, is more likely to hurt Max. And even though Charles has been finished a few times, which I'll get to, multiple times, Max has been finished with strikes now once in the last year. And he's been roughed up a little more as time's gone on. So I think Charles, with his danger, muscle, and overall pressure, I think he's going to be in Max's face. If he doesn't force him to make a mistake on the feet, maybe he can hurt him. But I think Charles also has really good wrestling, underrated wrestling. I know it's been shut down in the past, but he's got good takedowns. And I think here he's going to give Max Holloway a grappling fight like he hasn't had in a while. Maybe not a full grappling fight, but I think he's going to be able to hit takedowns. And once there, Charles is twice as dangerous as whoever the most dangerous guy Max has ever fought is. So I've got Charles closing the show with a submission. Max has only lost a few times at lightweight in the last few years to Ilya Taporia, Arman Sarukian, and Islam Makhachev. 3 really strong grappling-based fighters. All right. They're all good strikers as well. And I know Ilya Taporia, you'd say maybe is more of a striker, but he's a fucking beefy, strong grappler. And those are 3 guys that Max Holloway is not. He is the opposite of these guys. I mean, I don't know how his height stacks up with them and whatever, but Max Holloway is a longer, taller striker. He's not a tight, compact grappler or a tall, fucking strong grappler. Max Holloway is going to be given Charles Oliveira a different type of fight, way different than the guys who have beaten him at lightweight. And on the flip side, you could say the same thing for Max. He's lost generally just to Volkanovski and Ilya Taporia. And if you want to include Dustin Poirier in their second fight, that's cool too. But he's lost in general to shorter, tighter, more compact guys with a different style than Charles Oliveira. But Charles Oliveira is the most dangerous guy in the sport. Forget about his durability or lack thereof on the feet, on the ground. He's a finishing problem. And I think he knows he's got to bring the danger, force a fight with Max Holloway, put his own chin on the line, Charles. And I think he's going to do so, make this a radically different fight, and not let Max get into the groove that he often finds himself in, where he's cruising to a victory, racking up rounds, and he's the one dictating things from afar. I think Charles is going to get in his face and show him it's a different Charles Oliveira and win this fight. I've got him winning by submission. Charles Oliveira, I've played his money line because I'm a degenerate. But now, just this morning, I believe the over-unders dropped at 3.5 rounds. I like the under, and I don't know if you can see them, but it's even, minus 15 for the over and the under. I think this fight ends in the first 3.5 rounds. I think Charles Oliveira is pure danger. And even though Max is typically a decisionator, he's fighting a guy in... I don't know what happened there. Anyway, let me pick up where I left off. Max Holloway is much more of a decisionator. He is a decision fighter, a point fighter. But he is fighting a guy in Charles Oliveira who doesn't have the strongest durability. He doesn't make the best nail. I know he's definitely toughened up throughout his career, but I still think a finish is much more in play than it typically would be for a Max Holloway victory. So betting wise, I like the under, but I like Charles Oliveira as well. I think Charles Oliveira is going to give Max Holloway the fight he should have given him fucking 8 years ago whenever they fought the first time. Charles Oliveira is the pick. Charles Oliveira is the bet. I'll wait for the props and the rest of it to see if there's another play to make or go reaching for some hedges with Max Holloway, long shot TKOs. But in general, I'm fine with the money line of Charles Oliveira. I favor him by submission more than anything else, but he's so fucking dangerous everywhere that I could never really commit. And Max hasn't been submitted in 14 years. Let's keep that in mind. But yeah, Charles Oliveira is the pick. Charles Oliveira is the bet as well as the under. And I hope it's a great fight for the interim Intercontinental Hardcore Championship. And this, like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.